Hi everyone and welcome back. It's Thursday, so that means it's tea break time, even though it's dark outside and we might as well call it dinner break, but that kind of doesn't go so well with the cricket theme, although with a day-nighter I guess it does. Anyway, I'm rambling, and that's perfectly on point for what we're going to do today, because we are literally just going to ramble, aren't we, Ben?
We are. We did have a sort of a bit of a chat the other day, you and I, about some of the, I guess the weirdest sort of, sporting grounds around Victoria. But I think we're going to have a bit of a chat about that. That'll be another week. But we are going to have a chat about the A-League and the fact that it's basically, and from personal experience, going to watch City on Tuesday night in front of about 210
people.
210 people and a bunch of seagulls. I'm not even kidding, folks. We'll get to that shortly. What's happening with this league? I mean, it's a bit of a.
I will say one thing, Ben. Yeah. Ben, do us a favour. Post those pictures on our channel when you can, so people can actually see them on the channel.
I've still got them. Yes, I will. Definitely. It sort of has to be seen to be believed. A bit of a halftime visit from the local. I don't know what you call a gang of seagulls, but I know a flock.
The band, the band.
Well, after seeing them, I ran so far away, so. But in terms of what we're going to talk about tonight, I mean, what's going on with this league? It's not not even a Mickey Mouse league anymore. It's fucking, Jiminy Cricket. I don't know. It's just gone to shit. On multiple levels.
It's just ridiculous, isn't it? Like, as I said, we'll put the pictures up later and you guys will be able to see them, but exactly what I was talking about, or those of you who are watching this who happen to be one of the 100-odd people who were probably at that game. Look, I will say, obviously, with distances and travels and stuff, it's not like we have a go and saying, away crowds are shit. Yeah, they're not great. But, Tuesday nights, we're not expecting people to fall, especially with the economic crisis that's been sweeping this country for about 50 fucking years. Exaggeration, but yeah. We're not, people aren't being expected, fans aren't to travel down in their thousands, right, from across states in the case of this. So look, fair enough, there wasn't many Mariners fans there, supposedly. Fair enough, that happens. We're kind of used to that. What I find ridiculous is we're talking about a Melbourne City game. Yeah, fine, it's a Tuesday night, whatever. But where are the Melbourne City fans? Where is the fucking home support? That's what I don't get. This crowd in this game, when you see these pictures, people, right? Obviously, if you looked online, I'm expecting some figures on the A-League website to completely blow it out of proportion and probably make up some ridiculous number and make it look bigger than it actually was. I don't know. I haven't checked the crowd figures. I'm
actually trying to find out now if I can see it, because I don't think they've had the crowds released on games for ages.
Well, that says it all.
Here we go. Oh. Do you want the number?
Yeah,
that's okay, but let's try and guess closer to the period.
I'm going to get. You're not guessing because you can see the number right in front of you. But
no, okay. Before I tell you, then what did you think the figure was?
Well, no. What I'm saying is I'm thinking from the pictures you showed me, it looked worse than a National League South crowd, and those ones sometimes in the lower ends of that league sometimes get only barely towards the thousands. And keep in mind, these are in stadiums which can really only hold barely 1,000 people, let alone a stadium like Amy Park, which can hold close to 40,000.
30.
30, yeah, you get what I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
It's not 1,000, is it?
No.
I'm guessing it's close to 1,000, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's under 1,000. I'm going to say around 800, and even then that sounds ridiculous because it looks smaller in the pictures you sent me.
No, I reckon based on all of that, they've definitely fudged the numbers and inflated it. The figure, according to the A-League website, is 3,200.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. There's no way there's 3,000 people.
Were they counting the car park attendants and the security guards?
The seagulls, probably.
Exactly, there were quite a few security in the active city end.
They're probably counting all the players on the pitch and the bench and the coaching staff and the managers and all the backroom staff and kitmen and everything.
The police walking around, yep. The ticketing attendants, yep.
3,000, no, that's so far off being
That's why we're doing this episode, right? It's just
So for those of you
You
who
know.
just tuned in, no, there definitely wasn't 3,000 people watching that game. There might have been 3,000 people in the stadium if both clubs bought the entirety of their staff, maybe, and family members of the players and whatnot and everything, maybe then, right? But in
Yeah.
terms of just match-going fans, no, 3,000 is ridiculous. I can't buy that at all. But yeah, the pictures you showed me, and again, we'll put them up on the channel after this video so you guys that are watching from home can see this as well. It looked like there was about 100, maybe 200 people, and that even sounds generous. Obviously, you didn't take pictures of every single part of the ground, but from what I saw, it looked like there were more fucking seagulls in those stands than fans.
From that,
Like,
I think that panoramic view that I took, and I'll post it to the Instagram for you guys. That basically sums it up. It's not even an optical illusion. It's just to give you an idea. So Raw and Sydney played on Thursday night. That got just over 5,500.
that's just a standard Suncorp crowd.
Yeah, in a bigger stadium. You know,
Yeah.
Auckland probably got more because they tend to sell out games. I'm just having a look at, you know, no, that's sorry, that's next. That's this coming weekend. I don't know why this stupid thing. Here we go. That's what I was looking at. Yeah, Adelaide draw pretty well. Let's see if we can see what because we played Wanderers last week. Let's see what the crowd was for that.
I mean, you were at that game.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, even on watching the highlights back for myself, it looked bigger.
Yeah.
Like,
About 1,500 people bigger.
yeah, but that one I could believe.
4,458.
Yeah, but that one I could believe that one because it looked like that. The one, the Mariners, like, it looked like you were just watching football in lockdown again. That's honestly what it looked like. Like, and this is the huge problem with the league. How the hell are fans expected to take this league seriously anymore? If we're struggling to draw in crowds a bit, I know it says 3,000, but let's be real. I don't know who's in charge of putting the crowd figures up on the A-League website, but it's probably the same people who were working for Man City about a decade ago when they started cooking their books and inflating those numbers.
It's certainly an indictment on the league, and I mean obviously they'll start harping up the finals campaign, pretty soon with only a couple of rounds to go. But just really disappointing, and I mean Easter Saturday I'm happy to give that a mulligan because obviously a lot of people would have been away. People get sick, that sort of thing.
As I said before, look, it's
Yeah.
Tuesday night, fine. We're not expecting tons and tons of Mariners fans to fly down from New South Wales, alright? What about the home support though? This is what's destroying the league.
Yeah.
There just seems to be the fans just seem to be disappearing from grounds. Like, look, and I will address the elephant in the room. I'm a Sydney fan. I've barely been to Sydney games. Yes, I haven't really lived in Sydney for that long over the last several years, but still, even when I lived there, I didn't necessarily always go. And I'll admit, myself as a Sydney fan probably could have gone to more games, but I didn't. So I will admit that I'm part of this. But that still means I can complain and say the reason that the football in this country is just constantly on a steady decline is because of the fact that it just seems like no one gives a shit about games anymore unless they're a derby, a grand final, or some certain other big game.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Tuesday night, Melbourne City at home to Central Coast Mariners, even though it should be viewed as an important game for your fans, because
which it
you
was,
need to win to keep your finals hopes alive, let's be honest.
Thankfully did, yeah.
Doesn't stand up that way because people don't think that way a lot of the time in this country, and that's the sad truth of it.
That's right. And I mean, just on that as well, I mean, we've got Phoenix at home at Amy Park on Sunday at 3 o'clock. Last week's 3 o'clock game was victory at Amy versus Wellington. 8,762 people turned up. That's probably inflated too. Now I know that's what probably, I guess I don't like talking about that other mob down the road too much, but I will. They, as a fan of theirs in the early days of this competition, they used to pack joints out, right? Olympic Park.
But that was the thing. The A-League used to be in the early stages of the competition, or at least for the first decade or so even of the competition, maybe even 15 years. The crowds were much more they weren't amazing. It was still obviously big games got more crowds, right? But there was still, for the smaller games, it still felt like they was there. Like, I've not been to many Sydney games, especially of late, but the ones I've been to, which is still, a fair bit here and there around the same, around a decade ago or so. I don't ever recall rocking up to Allianz and seeing a tin pot crowd. Like, even in games which didn't, off the top of my head, for example, I remember going to a game in Blue Tongue back in 2010, I think. We drew 2-2 to Mariners. We were having an awful season. They were having a good season. It still looked and felt like the stadium was mostly full, right?
Yeah.
And I know, obviously, us and Mariners, I wouldn't call it a derby or a rivalry, but there is some tension every now and then between the two of us, being relatively close based in the way of New South Wales, especially before Wanderers came in, obviously, as well. But that's kind of, but now it just doesn't feel like that's really going to be the case. It just feels like, I don't know what's caused it. Is it since lockdown people have fallen out? Is it just a steady decline? I'm going to go on the track of the APL or whatever the fuck they're called nowadays, basically being the chief creators of this downfall because of how poorly they've managed the league since they've taken over.
Yeah.
And the lack of interest they've had in developing and growing the league, no matter what they want to tell everyone and sell down a river that they're actually trying to develop football in this country is a big fat lie, and we all know it, right? It doesn't, it doesn't take a genius who's been following football in this country for the last decade or so to know that a decade ago, players would come from the Scottish League, let's say, to play in Australia. Whereas now, it's the other fucking way round.
Yeah.
Like, Jesse Randall, right? It's his breakout season for Auckland. He's already he signed a deal with, I can't remember which team, but he signed a deal with an SBFL team a couple of months ago, and he's there next season.
Right?
Zach Sapsford had had one real breakout season with Wanderers, and then all right before that, he's at Motherwell. Sorry, Dundee United, excuse me. He's at Dundee United now. Like, this stuff is becoming more and more common. I hear people, I've got friends who tell me, or a friend, Wahid, if you're watching, there's another shout out for you, who tell me he reckons Martin Boyle would be a great signing for Sydney, and I always tell him, in what world would Martin Boyle, an established attacking player for Hibs, leave the SBL to come down to Australia?
Yeah.
Because that's not going to happen. Because that's not going to happen when players are leaving Australia to go and further their careers in Scotland now. And the most damning indictment of it is this is probably the worst Scottish football has been in a fucking long time as well.
Well, Hearts are going to win the title pretty much, aren't they? Yeah.
It's not that they're leaving to play in the best football, like the best league Scotland's ever had. It's probably one of the worst. Celtic have been awful this season. Rangers have been a lot better recently, but they were crap at the beginning. Hearts are most likely going to win the fucking league.
Yeah.
That's the quality of Scottish football. Now, take away from Hearts, they've been brilliant this season, but Celtic, Rangers are close, and it's still close, but these players aren't leaving the A-League to go play in the Scottish Premier League when Nakamura and that sort of players were knocking around Celtic. No, they're definitely not. Yeah. They're leaving to play when Scottish football's at its lowest ebb in quite some time. We used to say what level would it hold up to in England, and we used to say, maybe bottom end of Championship. No, I think the teams in the A-League now, as they are, the top teams in this league, would struggle to beat teams mid-table in League One nowadays. I think this league has started to fall so far that the best teams in this league, and there's few of them, could only just keep themselves safe in a campaign of League One football. I think most of the teams in this league sit top end of League Two, bottom end of League One, is where I would honestly place them now. From a position where before you could confidently say they'd be able to compete for mid-table in the Championship, I don't think any team in this league could get anywhere even near the Championship these days. You support West Brom, Ben, right? Prime example.
Correct.
If West Brom played Melbourne City, let's not say friendly, let's make this fair, midway through both seasons, both seasons fully matched, both teams match fit and everything. If West Brom played Melbourne City, who do you think's most likely winning that game, as things stand?
Against both sides, and apologies for yawning a little bit myself tonight, but just for a change. I reckon, probably based on form, I'd say West Brom.
Not just form alone. I mean, look, up until recently when James Morrison came in, you've had a dreadful season.
Yeah.
It's only over the last month or so you've actually started getting your act together and are most likely staying up again now. But that's not the benchmark for West Brom. I mean, I know it's in a Championship channel, but I'm just saying West Brom should be a playoff team at the minimum in Championship. But that's the point I'm making. A team who are having an awful season in the Championship, like West Brom, would still probably comfortably beat the team. I'd find it was a poor example because you might not make finals, and this is by far your best team.
Yeah.
But like the point stands, right? The level of the A League has just fallen off a cliff over the last 5-6 years, I'd say.
Yeah. I still think West Brom, they've got quality players, and just I mean, you saw that. You look at the Asian Champions League, and City got beaten by Buriram, who are a quality side out of Thailand. There's some quality teams in that competition. So, I mean, Championship football for me, because I do watch a fair bit of it, even when West Brom's not playing, is still a high quality standard of football. I think. Yeah.
I would 100%. The Championship's been amazing this season, from top to bottom. The Championship's been amazing. League One less so. League Two definitely not. Those have been crap. But Lincoln City have just basically been promoted to the Championship. I should tell you all you need to know about League One this season. Yeah. Fair credit to Lincoln, they've been good. But anyway, this is not an EFL channel. But the point I was making was obviously the A League and its decline, and it's just obvious for everyone to see now. The players who are going to do well for Australia in the World Cup, you can't imagine many of them being A League players. You really can't.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's not really relevant to the A-League, but it is kind of funny how Segacic has basically decided he wants to play for Croatia instead of Australia because he actually wants to challenge himself. Mainly because he probably knows if he plays for Australia, he's getting in the team, but he wants more of a challenge, and fair play to him. He's always had that about him. He's that sort of player, and I think if he continues, his attitude's great. And I think he needs. Again, I'm not on EFL channel. I'm about to talk about Portsmouth and their transfers.
The most staggering thing for me, I guess, even as a City fan, is seeing over the years the lack of top calibre of player, except for maybe a couple like Juan Mata and maybe a couple of others.
Yeah, but Juan Mata's 37. He was 36 when he came to the A-League.
Yeah, that's true. But let's take him out of that. The calibre of non-quality players from other leagues and other countries.
And also, I want to point out a 37-year-old Juan Mata who doesn't have any legs anymore for running is by far and away a country mile and 10 fucking halves better than every other player currently in the league playing with him and alongside him and against him and all that. Let's just also put that out there.
Yeah.
Juan Mata has not been able to compete in Europe's top level for 4 years at least now. And he's come to the A-League, 37 years. He came last season, he didn't do an awful lot, but that's more down to Stajic. But this season, at the age of 37, he's finding it like he's playing most of the games in second gear and still being head and shoulders above most other players in this league. So that kind of says it, right? This isn't a Juan Mata who's come at 37 straight from United. He came at 36 from Galatasaray, if I'm correct. And he wasn't even really a main starter and kind of a fringe player there. That's Galatasaray. Right? No offence to them, but that's Galatasaray we're talking about. And a weaker Galatasaray than what they have been in the past. Again, this whole kind of thing just circling around of, the teams and the leagues we're comparing this league to and these teams to are weaker versions of those teams and leagues than what used to be about a decade ago, at least.
Galatasaray fans, feel free to jump in the comments and let us know if you disagree. But it comes back to what I was just saying. Yeah, let's take Mata out of it. Yeah, you've made some good points there. The overall calibre, or lack of it, of these players that are coming to play in this competition is staggering, really. I mean, I first remember when, David Villa, even though he only played a few games.
Yeah, that's a poor example.
No, Damien Duff and, Robert Corrin and Michael Mifsud and these guys for Hearts last year.
I'm sorry, you can't put Michael Mifsud in the same category.
And yet I just did Orlando Engelar, Harry Kewell one league, Vinny Bella, no.
Hang on, what about ADP? That's like the most obvious one.
And Del Piero as well. Alexander Meyer. You know, Marcus
God.
Babbel was manager at one point.
Can you stop naming shit A-League players when trying to make this one?
I'm trying to make the point that it's just been shit overall.
Emil
right?
Heskey,
Yeah.
Shinji Ono,
Yeah.
Dino Cressinger,
Yeah. Brian Dean.
Brian Dean, Robbie Fowler.
Yeah.
At the age of about 50.
That's right. But that's my whole point, though, man. It's just the caliber of shit players that have come over the last decade or so into this competition. They haven't made it better. I mean,
there's been a couple of exceptions. For example,
Yeah.
we signed Robert Mack a couple of seasons ago. I had him for 2 seasons. Like he was a good player.
Yeah.
He was decent. Joe Lawley, you can't argue that. He fits into that category as well. Obviously, last season we did sign Douglas Costa for 1 season, so you can't say it happens all the time. There are examples where it is. You know, but like for example, Sam Cosgrove's a really good example here. Auckland signed him from Barnsley in the summer. He was struggling to get into a Barnsley side who finished 12th in League One last season. He's probably going to win the Golden Boot in the A-League. So that kind of further proves my point, the level the A-League is now at.
Yeah.
When a player can't get into a team who finished mid-table in League One, goes to a league and could win the Golden Boot in his first season, kind of proves that they're lower down.
Yeah.
The league is lower down than League One.
Yeah, and
at least mid-table.
Yeah, and you talked about players going overseas before to challenge themselves. I mean, look at the likely World Cup squad for the Socceroos. You know, how many A-League players are going to be in that squad? Hardly any. If you know, that's the whole. Yeah,
I'm struggling to think of like maybe Patrick Beach. I guess is probably one of the sub-keepers.
And he hasn't played for the last 2 games. I think he's either being rested or he's. Because we've got a few games in a row, or there's a problem with him. But I mean that was,
I don't know if he's been picked for Australia recently.
He's been playing. Yeah. Aside from Bajic and maybe Beach, that's it. You know.
Yeah.
It's and you look at what someone who's managed in the A-League, like Graham Arnold, was able to do with Iraq. You know, and how happy they were to qualify. Yes, there's more teams, but so fucking what? You know, I thought that was great. It just I mean, yeah, in terms of like the caliber of players, I mean, I thought it better that I went and saw Juventus play a friendly against, I'm sure it was Melbourne Victory, and Claudio Ranieri was manager. You know, I was more excited by that than going to watch an A-League game at that time.
Was that the one where Mitch Austin had probably his best game in a shirt of an A-League team?
I'm pretty sure it was, yeah. Yeah, it just sums it up. You know, it's and it's like these sort of after post-season sort of friendly games and these tours that clubs do, right? I mean, I saw Spurs are going to be playing Auckland FC. Spurs could be in second division next season. Yeah, and I'd say
Auckland
might
could
have
be
a
playing a
chance of beating
championship team.
Yeah.
We're playing Spurs as well. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure we could be playing a championship team.
Yeah, it's just from what it started as back in 05 and what it is now, it's just, pardon me, it's just night and day, really. And I don't know what's going to fix it, but
I mean, talk about 05. I mean, Dwight York, like one of the original marquee signings in A-League history, obviously, right? Treble winner,
Yeah, James Brown, not the influential.
Yeah, I don't know how I can talk
American
about Dwight
artist,
York and then you bring up fucking James Brown. Again, not the soul singer, but the absolute
nomad of Jason Hoffman,
absolute average forward for City and Gold Coast, and I think Jets as well. Jason Hoffman's an A-League cult hero, but we're not. This is different. That could be a different episode.
Yeah, that's
A-League
right.
cult heroes could be a different episode altogether.
Yeah. We could have just unearthed something there, but you're right. Yeah, like Dwight York coming in, and there was the big furor about that. I mean, Mark Bosnich playing for Mariners when he got back from Europe, right? That was a pretty big deal. It just, I guess, it just sums up where the league's at, and I guess I don't know where their priorities are in terms of, they say that they want to get a leg up on the AFL, and the AFL want to one up NRL and vice versa.
I'm sorry, I don't like any of that stuff that comes out of the mouths of those people who work in the APL or whatever the fuck it's called again. Every time I genuinely don't remember the name of their organisation, but yeah, the APL, who whatever they say, you just don't even pay attention to it really anymore, because it's like the AFL has always been heads and shoulders above the A-League. There's no doubt about that. The NRL has always been heads and shoulders above it. There's just, and the way football's going in this country, it's not like they're going to claw themselves back ahead of rugby and AFL anytime soon either. I realise when I say football, I probably confuse the Australian viewers soccer when I say that. Hell, even the Big Bash, which is, let's be real, the Big Bash has been known as a novelty league since it began, right? It's probably the most piss-takey of the franchise. Well, it's not a franchise league, really, is it? But it's probably one of the most piss-takey T20 leagues in the world. Maybe that or the Caribbean Premier League.
Yeah.
But
well, you may not have heard this. This came hot off the press from the Saints WhatsApp group that I'm in. Apparently, CA, they're trying to put the word out to teams about possibly playing the start of the Big Bash, one of the games in Chennai next year, and it could be Thunder versus, or as someone said yesterday, the Sydney David Warner DUIs versus the Renegades. So, which I think is a complete bullshit. You know, it's
you're not going to fly out to India for that.
Oh fuck no! I'm not going to fly out to Geelong to watch them play. You know. That's ridiculous. But yeah,
it's like, look, football's always struggled in this country, and we're talking I'll take AFL rugby off the table here because those have always been superior sports in this country over soccer, football, any day. But in terms of cricket, right, and a perfect point here is like football's always struggled, even cricket for the most part. And I'm not talking about the Test team, obviously, or the one day. I'm not talking about international cricket. I'm talking about club cricket. Even that feels like it's been always ahead, and this is a sport where I can't remember what year it was. You'll remind me in a sec. I'm sure Ben, when I'm about to bring up what I'm about to bring up. But when they started trying to promote T20 competition in this is a sport that football is losing to a sport where they decided to bring a retired, I think he must have been, I'm not sure if this guy was retired at the time, I don't know anything about rugby, but a retired rugby player to play professional cricket in 2 games, I think, was it? For New South Wales, 2 or 3 games? Yeah. What's his name again?
Andrew Johns. And
there you go, yeah.
And as you speak, I'm going to bring up the highlights and, you know, but that's
what football's been losing to.
Yeah.
I'm not bagging on cricket. I love cricket. I think the Big Bash is great. It's one of my favourite leagues. I love Brisbane Heat. Everyone knows that, right? But the point I'm making is that it's been so novelty and obviously attempting to be novelty since it began. The T20 stuff in this country, and it still gets more traction than the A-League, which is trying to be serious. That's the situation with football in this country.
Yeah.
Maybe the A-League should stop trying to be serious and just be a fucking novelty league. I don't know. Maybe, literally to the point, maybe Simon Hill should just sign a contract with, Melbourne Victory, let's just say, for example, for 1 game. Robbie Slater should just get the boots on and start up front for Sydney. Maybe they should just get completely fucking novelty like that.
Yeah.
Maybe one of your boys from the Saints can go play a game for City, right? Maybe they should just get ridiculously novelty, and maybe that might attract crowds.
And while we're at it, let's bring back the old NSL clubs like, you know, Sunshine, George Cross, and Footscray, Justin, you know, APL Leichhardt and all those teams. You know, if we're going to...
APL Leichhardt's still a club, but...
Anyway, getting back in the NSL. Heidelberg, you know, and the craziness of the A-League, and not so much, but even this, and I told you this yesterday, that if Newcastle win the league, Heidelberg United could be playing in the AFC 2 next year. How crazy is that?
Fair play to them, because
I think that's fair. I think it is amazing. I just think that's the absurdity of Australian football. That
I didn't know that. You know what? I'm all for Jets to win it now. I know I support Sydney. I don't, if Jets win it, I'm all for that, because Heidelberg fucking United playing in Asian competition would be absolute brilliance.
Yeah, get high quality football, even though the NPL is really good quality at the Olympic Village.
Can you imagine fucking those bigger teams in Japan and Korea, like Jeonbuk or Yokohama, rocking up to Bandura?
Well, rocking up to the back of Northland. We've talked about it.
Not Bandura. Rocking up to the back of Northland.
The old Olympic Village. It's it's awesome. I think it's fantastic. But you talk just quickly with regards to the Andrew Johns sort of Big Bash experiment. A lot of people said, and I agree with this, that having the original Big Bash as state teams as it was fantastic. Because I still remember going to a game at the G Victoria versus New South Wales when Dwayne Bravo was playing for Victoria and won us the game at the G. It was fantastic.
It basically is, apart from the fact that Renegades and Stars and Thunder and Sixers. I mean, other than that, it's pretty much state. Because we're the only team in Queensland, Scorchers are the only team in WA, Strikers the only team in SA, Hurricanes the only team in Tas. So other than the fact that there's 2 in Melbourne, 2 in Sydney, it is pretty much state league.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. But I mean, that was a really positive time for that particular sport. And I mean, we're even seeing it with other codes. NRL's got their Magic Round and the AFL's got Gather Round as we speak. The first game's going on at the moment, and that's going on all weekend. All the games. The thing that probably shits me more is having been to one of those is, from a marketing perspective, is the Saints have had to play at fucking Norwood Oval, a little postage stamp of a ground with no one wing is normal, the other is straight. Our podcast
is starting to do the usual kind of veer off and go down Saints Avenue again.
No, it's not. But I'm just saying in terms of like all the different codes competing. But
who said we're professional?
Yeah, no. But in terms of, well, we certainly think we are, but
Hey, look, if you think we are, and if you've made it this far, don't forget to like, follow, give us a subscribe, and all that good stuff. But continue.
Yeah. No, what I was saying is, it's like the NRL have sort of tried to one up the AFL, and it's sort of something that's why. You remember? I think do they still have it? The round in the A League where all clubs play in Sydney or whatever it was.
No, they don't do that.
Okay, they used to, because they obviously they moved the grand final to Sydney for a couple of years, and there was all that uproar. That's what the AFL is doing this weekend, and thanks to the AFL for putting Saints at the proper ground, the Adelaide Oval, not that fucking postage stamp ground of Norwood with about 2,000 people. Anyway, I'm going on my rant now.
You weren't there last year. You played there at Adelaide Oval last year.
No, that was the year before. That was 2 years before that, because I was over there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
so it's been a couple of years
since for the day. There. Yeah, I flew over that afternoon and came back the next day. So, smash and grab mission. We didn't get the points, but it's sort of like that. Like, I don't know what the A-League can do. Since I am now going to get back on topic, I don't know what they can do to sort of change their fortunes and get crowds and it's good. The other thing as well, right, for Tuesday night, it's fucking school holidays.
Yeah, so, that's a good point.
Yeah, kids are still, they're out and about, and parents are looking for something to do.
And also, as far as I'm aware, like obviously I haven't been to an A-League game in quite a while, but as far as I'm aware, I don't think ticket prices have really increased. Obviously, you wouldn't know either because you're a member, so you don't go and buy tickets at the game. But it's not like a situation in England where people are basically being priced out of football games because of how much they're being charged at. I'm still fairly certain these are relatively affordable tickets. So it's just a bit of like, look, I'm not expecting 30,000 people to rock up to these games, especially on a Tuesday night. But at least half of that, like that. 15, even 10 to 15,000 has to be doable.
Yeah.
It's just becoming like it would be interesting to look because I haven't actually looked, but I'm certain. Excuse me, Chester yawning again, like always. It wouldn't be one of our videos if I didn't have a good yawn here and there.
So
but yeah, what I was going to say is I surely it's the fact that over the last several seasons in a row, like average crowd attendances have been steadily declining.
I would say so. Just quickly on the question of ticketing, and I've just gone and had a look at this while you've been talking and yawning. So a GA ticket for Sunday at 3:00 at City is $35.
Yeah, that's standard, really. That's been that for a while, right?
I think Storm because they play at the same ground and have the same. I think Ticket Tick do theirs as well as I think around about the same price.
Yeah.
But also I'm a one-game member for them, so I wouldn't really know. But
he'll be there on Anzac though, folks. Don't you worry about that. He'll get some pictures and some footage of that, so you can compare how barren the stadium looked on a Tuesday night in the A-League, and then how absolutely jam-packed it is next week in that Anzac.
Or as they call City the Green Seed Elite. So there won't be any of that come Anzac Day, folks. Let me tell you. Storm's a club that know how to fill their seats. So, and that's sort of by comparison. What's the NRL doing that the A League's on? But yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty reasonable. AFL tickets are about $27 for a for a GA.
But there's also the point that, like, even when you watch, because I'm assuming you've watched your games this season, like Storm games so far this season on TV, right?
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah, even the ones you've watched, I'm assuming it looks like the ground is full when you're watching it, right?
Much fuller by comparison, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously you've been to the Saints games, they most likely, they get close to selling out almost every time, don't they?
Pardon me, I've got hiccups now. Saints, no.
Oh, okay. I was wrong.
There's
Although that round one game against Collingwood, you said was a sellout, right?
That was different, yeah, because it was all ticketed and pardon me. We'll keep rolling. Yeah, that was a.
I'm yawning. You're hiccuping.
That was different because that game had been played up for months. In terms of so. But Brisbane last week and because we've only had 2 home games for the season so far, and one of them was like a 40. They got 80,000. So,
yeah.
God damn it! If anyone knows a good hiccup cure, jump in the comments.
But no, yeah. Look, the rant stands for itself. Look. We've probably gone on for it a bit too long as you're hiccuping, so maybe we'll wrap up this video early for this week. But the whole point is that it's no secret that the APL and the A League, it's just been shocking and declining for years, as we've said already on this episode this week. I don't know. This isn't a PSA to try and let's hurry up and fix it. We're not trying to come up with solutions here. We're just ranting about it, because why not? After seeing that piss take of a crowd the other night, underrates football sometimes gets bigger attendances than that. I'm genuinely serious here. Like, it's just a piss take, and how are you meant to take the league seriously? I mean, look, as a Sydney fan, we've got the derby this week. Obviously, I want us to beat them. I couldn't give a shit about our results against Perth and Auckland at this point, in all honesty. Whether we make the finals or not, whatever, I want us to. Obviously, I'm not going to turn around and say I don't want us to win all our games left, but I don't care if we get beaten by Perth and Auckland. All I really care about is beating Wanderers. Look, if we go on and win the league from this point, I'm not exactly going to be complaining about it, but the point stands, right? Bundesliga is much more interesting, of course. We'll be back on Monday for more of that. Obviously, the big game, the massive game. Bayern away at St. Pauli, away at the Millantor. A Bayern who've got Kane back and firing and have just beaten Real Madrid at the Bernabeu 2-1. So you best be ready for this Bayern, Ben.
No, you already know my thoughts
You're
on
playing
this
a
game.
Bayern. You're not playing a Bayern who's just played like a game against Köln or anyone. No disrespect to Köln. You're playing a Bayern who've just gone and won at the Bernabeu. So good luck.
Well, we already needed luck before that, and
when you saw that result midweek, you were like, "Oh my god!"
I did, and I also saw the Liverpool one. So
oh, that was great.
That was
PSG
good.
were absolutely all over them. Liverpool just did not look good. It's like Liverpool just nah.
Yeah. But as far as the game goes, I may stay up and I don't have to be at Amy Park till 3, so I might actually stay up and watch it. But at least until you guys score, so it's only going to be about the first 15 minutes probably. But I'm not expecting much out of it at all. I'm really more focused on the games after that.
You're focusing more on the games after that, yeah. I've also, yeah.
Yeah. So, got a decent draw on the weekend. And, yeah, we'll see what happens on what we're discussing on Monday.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, we'll be back on Monday for the review as always. Bit of a shorter one today, guys, but it wasn't really planned. Might just be like that sometimes. Want to mix it up. Don't always do just the same old stuff on tea breaks like lists and rankings and all sorts. Just a chat. Yeah?
Yeah.
But we've got other ideas coming up for tea breaks, so stay tuned for those. But yeah, we'll be back on Monday with the review, of course. Until then, peace out, take care, and we'll see all of you next time. Bye.
Take care, guys.